Welcome to Theory of Conspiracy. Don't adjust your headset, you are listening to three northern lads from the UK talking about their own beliefs whilst challenging each other's.
Hi, I'm Nick and I'm the truther.
Hi, I'm Andy the Skeptic.
Hello, I'm Carlos. I believe.
Hi, TheoCons. Hi, Theo co-hosts. It feels like it's been ages since the last recording. I think that's because me and Carlos are squeezing in a load of live streams on Twitch between podcast recordings. So today's episode 16, and we're going to be talking about Jeffrey Epstein.
This is the news.
I want to plug something. So Carlos, you're always plugging David Icke and Joe Rogan on this podcast.
I am indeed, and rightly so.
You are. Yeah. So I wanted to give someone else a free plug, and that someone else is Scarlett Moffat. You guys know who that is?
Yes, because you introduced me to her.
Yeah, she's doing a conspiracy series as well, isn't she?
Yeah, I think they've stole our USP, i.e.
Chatting shit.
Chatting shit is number one. Number two is she's completely on the side of every single conspiracy going, believes every single conspiracy there is. You know, that's where you two come under the umbrella. And then a fella that she talks to, he doesn't believe any of the conspiracies. He's a total skeptic. That's the umbrella I come under. She's done a couple of similar subjects to us. But yeah, she's also thrown some in there like mermaids. I've not listened to that one. Mermaid and the Loch Ness Monster. That's a good one. I'm sure that's close at your heart, Nick.
Well, it's obviously true in that one, isn't it? Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's obviously true.
Of course, and I recommend you all go and check it out without a shadow of a doubt. And spend a couple of weeks up there, buy some fishing rods, hire a little boat, go out and check it out for yourself.
But make sure you wear a mask as well while you're going to Sea Loch.
Of course. Practice social distancing, all that.
Yeah. I have done that, Nick. I've been on Loch Ness a couple of times on a boat.
I know, yeah. We should hire one and have a weekend away.
But other than that, the two or three podcasts I've listened to were quite funny. And they don't stay on topic that long, to be honest, in the 30-minute show that they have. I don't know. Well, yeah, a bit like ours. Cool. Okay. So also I introduced fact-checking Fran into the podcast the last couple of episodes, just to pick up on some facts or misremembered dates and things like that.
Jesus, that'll make this episode longer than the original.
I know. She nearly had a breakdown on the last episode.
I'm sure with Carlos going at it.
Yeah, about Phil Jones and his lost weather data. But I decided to just literally cut all that and save all the work of programming, fact checking Fran to correct it all. If listeners do want to check that out, they can go and Google it for themselves. Philip Jones and his lost weather data, and get the true story from The Guardian. On that subject, if people are coming to us and looking for facts, I suggest they don't take anything that any one of us says as fact, and they go away and research.
Yeah, none of us are scientists.
Especially Nick.
We're all just idiots.
We are here for entertainment. We're just having fun. We want to make something that you want to listen to. Speaking of which, we've not seen any reviews in a while. However, we did have a really, really nice message just before one of our live streams last week.
This message made us switch the topic for today, so obviously Andy will read out the message. It was a really fantastic message. So,
hi guys, love your podcast. I've recently been diagnosed with secondary cancer, and you're really helping me to think about something else. So thank you for that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Epstein in terms of cause of death and Maxwell in terms of cover-up. I really don't think either were as reported, and I think Maxwell could rightfully take down some key international figures. So comfy sentences being agreed. What do you think? What about your recent thoughts on COVID and how numbers have been reported? Smacks of a cover-up to me. They're also the classics, JFK, Diana. Keep up the good work. Anon. With smiley face, an OK symbol, and with a heart. So first of all, I hope that your recovery is really quick and goes really smoothly. Second of all, messages like that, which are quite personal, just mean that, you know, if we're helping distract someone or entertain someone, whatever, with just the three of us on this podcast, that's better than 10 people saying, "Yeah, you're
Love
great."
the podcast. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It meant a lot for us, and so much so. After reading, I think Andy and I were doing the live stream. Andy and I just decided, you know what? Let's switch the topic to Epstein. So that's how good that message was. We actually changed the subjects for this podcast. So thank you for that message, and it meant a lot. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure the three of us really appreciate it as well.
Yeah. All the best.
If you would like to support the podcast, please talk about this with your friends or give us a review on iTunes. You can comment or contribute at TheoConPod, that's at TheoConPod, or check the link in the podcast description.
Listen up. This is the main bit. So what? The murder of Epstein? I mean, the suicide. Oh yeah, gosh. Yeah. No, definitely. I think any reasonable person will conclude now, given the autopsy done on behalf of his brother, that he was murdered. You know, his injuries and stuff like that. So it's like another one of these things. I mean, Andy, where do you sit on this one? Because I'd like to hear you justify this and say, yeah, it's all good. There's no conspiracy here. Nothing to see. Walk along.
All right. Well, you've gone right into the main bit anyway, then, Nick. So why don't we start off with Epstein's death and then talk about some of his other stuff? So go on, Carlos. You wanted to say a few bits, and then I'll chip in.
Well, the first, I was going to start off regarding Epstein, the character, because obviously you need to work out who he is, what he is. Obviously, he was a billionaire. The information I've read from different angles, from different people who have actually physically met him and sort of met him face to face in his property, on his workplace, the information I'm getting from these different opinions is he was what they call a construct. And what that means is somebody who was put in there by some kind of agency. The two agencies that keep coming up are CIA, Mossad. Why? As some kind of honey trap. Someone who can get inside the financial establishment, put people in difficult positions via sexual, some kind of drug-induced parties, and use that evidence against them to fulfill certain transactions or to oversee something or to approve something. That's the information I've been getting. He was a construct. And one of the things I read on about 5-6 different people, one of the people was saying, the Jeffrey Epstein I met would have never have killed himself. Everybody who knew him, he had a bubbly personality, Mr. Full of life, very compatible, never showed symptoms of killing himself or hanging himself or any form of suicide.
All right. So my answer to that, Carlos, because you did talk a lot then, is...
Because I know a lot, that's why.
Is
Carlos, that's going to get you killed. Talk like that's going to get you killed.
Yeah. I don't know how. Yeah, the man who knew.
I know nothing. For the record, by the way, if anybody comes looking, I know nothing.
I know. What evidence is there that he's a construct for either one of them agencies?
People who have met him, the way he portrays himself. Like if you're working, if you walked into a job and you said that's the CEO, and the CEO's got tomato ketchup all over his shirt and is sitting there with snot hanging from his nose, would you say that's a CEO of a company? He has a certain persona. This guy didn't act like a person who was a billionaire. His knowledge of making money was okay, but it wasn't like of a billionaire. That's the bit where people say, this guy's a billionaire? And he's meant to be, if you're a billionaire, you are one of the world's elite people. So this guy didn't act like an elite person. That's why people are thinking he's a construct who was put there.
I've had two bosses, not directly my boss, but I'm talking like 3 levels above me, that just in the last 4 or 5 years that are completely down to earth, that you wouldn't expect. I mean, one guy you would see that he would be more at home on a frigging Hell's Angel motorbike than he would be in a suit and tie, sat around talking crap with directors of a massive company with, 20,000 employees, which is what I work for. So yeah, I don't think you can just put everyone in the same.
Well, yeah, but you won't put them in the category of billionaire. The billionaire is the elite of the elite. Like, I don't know how many billionaires are in the world, but
It's just money. It's just money, Carlos, isn't it? It's just
yeah,
money.
but yeah, he's not inherited this money. He's made this money, so he needs to know what he's on about. If he was the son of Mr. Warburton's, that's fine. It's a different conversation. But this guy has made it himself. So you know when you're talking to these successful businessmen, that's why all these fellow people who work in the finance world thinking this guy is a construct. And it's not like one person. I read it from like 6, 7 different points of view, and everybody was on agreement. This guy is a construct. He's been put there by, and I refer again, the two names that keep popping up is Mossad and CIA, because obviously like some kind of honey trap. And obviously everybody we'll allude a little bit later on the podcast, but if you look at his ex-girlfriend or the person who was his confidant, which is Ghislaine Maxwell, her father, Robert Maxwell, the owner of the Mirror Group, he was renowned for honey trapping people, politicians, prime ministers, celebrities, and obviously forcing them to do things or not do things. So it all links in. So you've got these people who put these people in compromising positions of power, and you can do whatever you want with them. So what's your opinion on this, Nick? Do you think he's some kind of construct, or do you think it's just the way he was?
I'm interested to know what Andy thinks his story is. Did you not think there's any conspiracy around the guy? Do you think he's just a sex pest and made a lot of money?
First of all, I don't know how he's made his money.
Well, I don't know how he did it. He's reputed to have made his billions on the stock market, but it's also reputed that there's no evidence that his company ever made any trades. So there's also stories that he's been given people's access to people's money. Some guys billions of fortune or millions fortune, and access to some guy's property. Same guy, I think. Some guy's basically signed over all his money to him and access power of attorney. Probably, I think it was some very wealthy guy. But yeah, it's just a bit shady, isn't it? So
that would fall
right
into the category. That will fall into the category of being some kind of construct. So that's probably, by you saying that, it ties in nicely with what I said earlier on about being a construct, literally put there by some agency. So do you Andy, do you have some? I know you obviously your mind must be ticking in every direction, but what's your gut instinct thinking? Because obviously Nick asked you before, do you think he just committed suicide and that's it, or do you think there's some kind of hidden agenda behind it as well?
I've not made my mind up on whether it was suicide or murder. I did read that his brother got them to do a autopsy report, and the guy that did the autopsy said in 30 years of looking at hangings in prisons, I've never seen three bone fractures.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
But a bit lower down on that, I can't remember if it was an article or whatever it was. Basically, someone says, well, there are cases where you can get 3 bone fractures. So just because this guy's not seen it in the last 30 years doesn't rule out that he could have broke 3 bones. Saying that as well, this is just my own opinion, but I didn't realise that about a week before he tried to hang himself, and it was a failed attempt, he was found unconscious on the floor of his cell, and that's why he was put on this suicide watch that didn't go very well. So he might have fractured one of the bones then in the failed attempt, and then...
Wait. He didn't try and kill himself that time either. He was put in a cell with some crazy big ex-copper guy.
A monster
and,
of a guy, a monster.
My theory on it is they'd done this to him deliberately, put him to the edge of death, sent him off to A&E, let him have that experience, whispered in his ear, give us your safety package, give us it now, and we'll let you live out the rest of your sentence and be happy in prison. So he's given up Hence, we've never seen his safety package because he must have had one. And if it did get released, it's got snaffled up pretty quickly. So he's given up, and then they've let him go back to prison, and they've just told him to finish him off. Then got what they want. That's my kind of take on it, more than really. You think
What's
he tried to
what's
kill
the safety
himself?
package, Nick?
Well, he must have had, because he's got evidence of these people. He's got compromising evidence of rich and powerful people. Yeah, people like business people and royalty and important people in the world, presidents and shit like that. He's reputed to have evidence of compromising positions. He's close.
If I was him and I had this evidence, and obviously we're going to trust that Ghislaine's got it as well, I would have said to Ghislaine or someone or something or an employee of mine, they don't have to know what's in this package or it's on this disk or file or whatever, this USB stick. I would have just said, anything happens to me, put that in the mail. And not just have one person. If I was as paranoid as he was, I would have had several people with this evidence and gone, if anything happens to me, and that secures that secures then that nothing is going to happen to me, because I would just go, if anything happens to me in here.
Well, that's what they did. They made him give it up. They made him launch his security package so that they could take control of it. So, yeah, I think what you've said makes sense, and what anybody in this situation would do.
You wouldn't give it up, though, would you? You just go.
Of course you would.
You
would if you thought you were going to live. You'd be surprised what you'll do if you think you're going to live.
It's an insurance policy. Why would you give your insurance policy up? You can't be that stupid.
He obviously was.
That is my insurance policy. You're not getting it. Therefore, nothing can happen to me. If anything happens to me,
of course you would. Yeah, I admire your stealthiness, Mr. Bond. I mean, and you know what I mean. Of course you would. I don't think I would. I think if in anybody, I mean, I don't think many people would if get in that position, regardless of how safe they thought, or how. Just if you're at death's door, you'll give it up.
And that's why I think people like Ghislaine Maxwell is so important to this case, because I think he's probably had a safety net, or like you said, I've got CCTV or audio on people. If something happens to me, you make sure this gets released. Ghislaine Maxwell is being trained by the best. Her father, Robert Maxwell, was the best at this, so she's been trained by the best. So that's why I think Ghislaine Maxwell holds the key to all this, because I don't think Jeffrey Epstein give up his information. I think he was in such a commanding position that they say, let's wipe him out, let's completely dirty his name. So anything that he does say, we can completely muddy it. But now, obviously, Ghislaine Maxwell's been arrested. She holds the key, and it's there was a key conference when Donald Trump says, I hope she's well. I hope she gets what she deserves, and the truth will sort of come out. And I was watching Donald Trump's body language, the way he spoke about this, and it was as if to say, because when he was, when a journalist is asking him questions and he's nodding his head, that just shows he's agreeing. And then he stops and goes, well, she's been caught and she'll get what she deserves. So but the way he said it, I think he knows that if she gets killed or she gets life in prison, she'll get that. So I think Donald Trump has played a smart card on this. And also, he did mention 5 years earlier in 2015 that regarding the Clintons, not the Clintons, Bill Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein, and he referred to Epstein's island as a cesspool. That says it all. He referred to it as a cesspool.
His island, you mentioned his island then, Carlos. So
yeah.
That's one of the first things I looked up is Little St. James, or apparently as he liked to call it, Little St. Jeff's. And according to the press, it's also known as the Island of Sin, Paedophile Island, and Orgy Island. Apparently, it's extremely difficult to leave because there's only two ways off the island. One is by helicopter, which he owns the helicopter company, and the other one is by private boat. Apparently, one of his victims tried to escape, tried to swim off the island, but she was soon found. I don't, I've not seen it geographically. I don't know if it's, if it's possible to see other islands from his island or not. But I'm not sure.
What do you think of the symbols on that, Andy? You see this that like it's like looks like a little house with blue stripes and a white. I kind of call it like a white villa with blue stripes going around it, and you see a lot of sort of like celebrities wearing white shirts with blue stripes going around it, or even the face masks during the corona with a white mask with blue stripes going across it. So do you think that's just coincident, or do you think that's some kind of symbolic message, as in support, or you're part of some kind of society?
They're not Jewish colours. Some Jewish colours, the white and blue stripes. The Jewish thing, I think.
Yeah, they're correct. They are Jewish colours, and I think he was of Jewish descent as well. But it's just the way. It's just that there was a blue villa, so a white villa with blue stripes going round it. But then I won't mention the names just in case who gets taken off. But there's lots of high-ranking celebrities, high-profile billionaires who have worn white shirts with blue stripes, or they've worn white masks with blue stripes going across. So it's like it's symbolic. Like it's either we're part of some kind of society.
Who knows? You don't know what's going on. You don't know what secret message is going on. You don't know, like, what's the one, Knights Templar and all that kind of stuff. If these societies really do have the reach that they're rumoured to have, who knows, mate? You'll never know. You're a pleb.
If you had a secret club, right, would you really go around wearing it? It's not like Gangs of New York.
It's not in your face. It's subtle. It's like, for example,
That's like saying, if you plan to drive a plane into the Twin Towers, would you really write a handbook on it and publish it as this is how terrorists will probably attack us?
well, I remember the 80s and the 90s where football hooligans didn't look like football hooligans. It was a certain type of clothing you wore that made you a football hooligan. So that's why football hooligans didn't wear, oh, I'm a football hooligan. It was a certain type of clothing you wore at a football match that meant you were a football hooligan. So the police couldn't identify you. But if you were looking for Knuckle, you knew who to fight Knuckle with. So it happens everywhere. It happens in football stadiums, and it clearly happens in high society. Like you get people who might wear, might be, say, Freemasons. It might be sort of some kind of little symbol. It might be a ring or a watch or some kind of handkerchief. And it's think about it now, the KKK, for example. If you're in the KKK, it's a certain type of handshake, or when you're putting your hands in your pockets, you always leave three fingers out. Why? Ku Klux Klan stands for three fingers, and that's just little symbols like that. You looking at it doesn't mean anything, but it's a symbol. If you're taking a picture and you slowly put your hand into your shirt, or you're exposing half your hand, that's a Masonic symbol. So just little hidden messages. If you don't know what you're looking for, you won't see it. That's what I mean. It's not in your face. It's like someone wearing a white mask with blue stripes on. It's not in your face, but it's who wears a white mask with blue stripes on. It's a mirror image of Epstein's Island.
I would hate. You'd have to be pretty bold to be standing shoulders beside some convicted sex criminal, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now, and that's just like one little part of it. That's just like the building that's got the white stripes around it. It's like
blue stripes. Blue stripes.
Sorry, white and blue stripes. Yeah. It looks like a little chapel.
Yeah, it's like a white villa or chapel, something. Yeah, but it's iconic.
So maybe it is just a Jewish chapel, and these other masks are also, the white and blue is also some sort of Jewish connection that they might have. Who knows?
No, that's the thing. Obviously we could be looking too much into it, but I always look I go back to the days of it. But going back to the days of hooligans, by wearing a certain type of shirt or certain types of trainers, you will identify yourself as a hooligan. If I would have said to you, he's a hooligan, how do you know? Because of that shirt he's wearing. You think, Cal, it doesn't happen that way. It does. I was part of it. Well, I wasn't part of it. I witnessed it firsthand, how it all worked. So that's on a small scale. now look at a bigger scale when you are proud to be. It's like these high-ranking people from the finance world and ex-presidents used to celebrate. Is it Bohemian when they used to pray to the god Moloch? Moloch is an owl he had obviously be depicted as an owl or some kind of bull, and that's the god of sacrifice, Moloch. So, and all these high-ranking businessmen from all around the world used to stand there and used to wear symbols of an owl or a bird, sorry, an owl or a bull, and that's what all these.
Is that one of these Bilderberg meetings? That's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah, I think it's one of them. It's like it's at Bohemian Grove or something. It is Rothschilds or one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, what? So I don't. So for me, right, the guy was definitely dodgy. The chances that he was being used by government agencies and criminals to entrap people with sex with girls under 18 is pretty obvious. I think all these places are being recorded by the people that have investigated him as being covered in cameras and trapping devices, sound devices, and stuff like that. So yeah, he's up to no good. Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I just think if you actually take the time to just look at everything, the common sense answer is yeah, he was shady. It's pretty obvious he was being used. He already had connections beyond his station, and it's pretty believable that he's being used by government agents and criminals to entrap people and important, powerful people and influence their decisions using sex with teenagers. For sure, that's end of story for me. Yeah, it probably happened, and yeah, I think he was murdered. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, definitely murdered.
I agree 100%. I think he was murdered. I don't think he committed suicide because obviously I don't know him, but the literature I've been reading on all the people who knew him said he's not the kind of guy to kill himself. He wouldn't kill himself. I understand when you're put under certain types of pressure. I understand everybody has pressure points. So people, if you squeeze the pressure points, people will do absolutely anything. But I just think he probably had that much dirt on people that they said, listen, we need to eliminate him because look now, Prince Andrew now can't even host a charity now. His name is absolutely dirty. His name now. You're seeing all these Pizzagate rallies going on in London and in Manchester now, and they're not like ones and two. They're probably like thousands of people. I find it interesting that mainstream media is not even covering it. I mean, it doesn't even cover.
Yeah, but I don't get Pizzagate. I thought they'd already proven it was all fucking bullshit.
That's how the Pizzagate came about because of this scary amounts of money being spent on pizzas.
It came about because it was a fucking chat room hoax, wasn't it? In the 4chan or the whatever the Nick 5chan or whatever the one after that was.
Yeah, wasn't it to get Hillary in trouble during the Hillary and
yeah, it was just internet shittery. Yeah, I think so. So that's why I'm interested to see this evidence that you're talking about, Carlos, because I'd written this off as just being internet shittery after
No, I did because Ian Hislop,
on the channel on the interweb.
Because Ian Hislop, the guy behind Private Eye, and obviously Have I Got News for You? He did a documentary on it, and he says, and he was making sort of kind of says, maybe this Pizzagate is basically, he said it was BS, but without saying BS, or am I told to say this by the media? And he winked at you as if to say he's giving you both sides. Like he's very clever the way he played it. But he went to the actual Pizzagate place and goes, "Oh, it doesn't like it." But then he's very clever. He sort of he gives you one way, then he lets you sway. He sort of lets you sway the other way. But then I completely thought it was bullshit. I thought it was a hoax because didn't a guy go in and start shooting up with like an automatic rifle or something, or some kind of machine gun, and started machining the whole place up? So I thought it was some kind of hoax. But then I thought, okay, this kid doesn't just decide to pick up a machine gun in America probably and just start spraying a pizza shop for no reason. I don't think he killed anyone. He just absolutely sprayed the shop. And I was thinking, where's he go? He must have had some kind of idea. So I started looking to him. And then people started saying there was some crazy receipts going out there, like 6,000, 7,000 so plus on pizzas. And I'm thinking, that's a big bill from a person, spending £6,000-7,000 on pizzas and stuff like that. Unless you're feeding about 800 people or something. But if you're doing that, you wouldn't pay. It'll be under company expenses.
That documentary that Ian Hislop did on the Pizzagate thing was actually a documentary on fake news.
Fake news, yep. And that's what he actually said that. But obviously that sells it. And he talked about the Pizzagate place, didn't he?
So him winking at the end, he's just playing the game. He's just
clearly he's playing the game. And I thought it was a hoax. I thought it was a complete hoax. But then you start looking in behind this because clearly people want to distract. It's like creating an anomaly, don't you? You want them to completely look at the different place. If I've committed a murder, I don't want you to look at the murder spot. I want you to look at the other side of the country.
If this pizza place is in an appropriate place close to a campaign headquarters, and I was the president and I had people campaigning for me, and these places have got 100 or 200 people in there, I would quite easily say, get yourself pizzas at that pizza place over there and put them on my tab. If this evidence existed.
They wouldn't use campaign money for it because they go, "What?"
They're all millionaires. These people, they're all millionaires.
And also, Nick, these people with the work campaigning, these people were presidents at the time or ex-presidents. So there's nothing to campaign. It's the paying
they're
out
always
of their own
campaigning
pocket.
For something. They're always but they're always okay. Maybe if they're not full on
it doesn't come out of them. It doesn't come out of their own money. It's a company credit card.
So this pizza thing, right? It's gone that far now that one of the mums from my daughter's dance group posted something on Facebook about 2 days ago of YouTube probably don't know what an LOL doll is, but basically you can get these dolls and they're like 20 quid and they come in a ball and you crack the ball open, you get a doll and you get a couple of bits to play with. She's posted a picture of this package, the inside of this package, and it's got a pizza embedded in it. It's just normal plastic, and it's got the shape of a pizza. It's also got some other shapes, like it says LOL, and it says some other small phrases and words, but it's got this pizza shape. And she says apparently if you put these underwater, air bubbles stick to it. And they show you all. I mean, she didn't have any evidence of it. She was just reciting something she'd seen or her fella had told her. And she says the air bubbles cling to it, and they show up and they do all sorts of weird, sexy underwear images and stuff like that show up as air bubbles on the pizza when you submerge it in water. And it's getting scary now. It's getting scary. They mentioned about watching something on YouTube, watching a documentary on YouTube that goes into it.
Why would you believe something like that? Air bubbles contain pictures of kiddie porn when you drop this plastic toy in some water.
Well, not kiddie porn, but symbolism. Again, back to this symbolism Carlos was on about earlier.
What?
But that's how far this pizza business has gone.
I just despair. Turn it off. Turn it off. We need to stop the internet. People need to get off. Have some fucking common sense, please, for fuck's sake.
But the internet's one of the things, it can create things that don't exist, but sometimes it does unearth things that people never would have thought about. So it's like in the last press conference about 2 or 3 days ago, that new movement, which is a big supporter of Donald Trump, is it QAnon? Is it QAnon? I think it is called. And the journalist was asking Donald Trump, saying, "You've got a big supporter of this group," and Donald Trump replies, "Yeah, I know. I don't know much about it, but I heard a big supporter or a big fan of my work." And he says one of the reasons why they're a big supporter is because you're dismantling the paedophile rings, satanic worshippers, and cults. And Donald Trump looked at it and goes, "Is that a bad thing?" So it's not as if I'm not saying he didn't brush it aside, but as if to say, is there some kind of undercurrent he's created? And that's the thing where, and it goes back to some of the videos I've posted on our personal groups where he does actually mention the cesspool of the Epstein's Island. He didn't reverse it. He says the cesspool, and he says, ask Prince Andrew, and he also says, Bill Clinton has got a lot of answering to do in the coming years, he said. He's got a lot of answering to do, Bill Clinton, in the coming years. And then that was in 2015, before he was president as well. So a lot of people probably knew the truth was going to come out there. And obviously, lo and behold, when there's so many people out there and then people start dying, the truth slips, or people say, listen, I can't be asked now. I need to, especially when all these people who've been on the island are sort of talking about it. Especially, I don't know if you've both watched the Prince Andrew documentary when he did it for the BBC. Did you both watch it?
No.
Did you watch it, Nick?
We did that interview.
Yes. Did you watch it?
No, did I fuck? I only watched the cringy bits they replayed back on the thingy, like.
Yeah, I've watched it 2 or 3 times, and if anything, if you were sitting on the fence beforehand, watching that documentary or that interview, I should say, it will identify and go, yeah, something was definitely going, because his answers were terrible. His agitation, fidgeting on certain questions. He was finding difficult to answer these questions, and clearly it's a difficult question, but when you know, it's the truth is always the truth. You know what I mean? And you can tell there was clearly something going on, and that's
Well, I
why
didn't need to
I think it
watch
was
the interview to know that it wasn't beyond the realms of possibility that he could have had a relationship with her. So I wasn't really interested in his excuses and kind of bang to rights. She says he's done it. He's in the frame for it. He's got form for it. Let him have it. Simple as.
So here's one for you. So why do you think these? I've got an idea why, because I've seen documentaries, I've read books from David Icke and all these different people who talked about these cults. So most guys want to be with a woman, not a girl, and most women want to be with a man, not a boy. So do you think this is all about power? Why these people prey on young, innocent girls? Do you think it's
Mate,
some kind of power trip?
the reasons for what people do are fucking many. You know what? The human psyche is a fucking strange and wonderful thing, man. They could be mentally reasons for it. There could be psychological reasons for it. There could just be any number of reasons for it. So yeah, all of the above.
Because I always thought, I read somewhere where this is regarding child sacrifice, that I'm sure I'll be fact tracked on this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I obviously, but if the children's blood from the age of sort of birth to age of up to 11, if you drink the blood of a child from that age, it keeps your body young, it keeps you rejuvenated. That's why they do a lot of child sacrifice. Obviously, once they start hitting, say, 12, 13 years old, I'm assuming when it's
See,
something
that
to do
sounds
with
like woo woo
puberty.
to me because I understand the science behind it, and yeah, before your bloodline is tainted with testosterone and hormones and stuff like that when you hit puberty and stuff like that. I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure there's a different, it's a purer kind of blood. I'm not believing that drinking it is going to do you any good, because as soon as anything hits your sulfuric acid in your stomach, it's can't be blood or whatever. It can't be. All it's going to be doing is the same as it does to black pudding when you cough that down, like digest
Well,
it. So
that's why it's a specific kind of age group. So that's why.
no,
Like I said,
even
I'm not a
drinking it,
scientist. I
man,
don't.
drink it. The only way you're going to get any benefit out of it is transfusing it.
Well, obviously, I don't know how they digest it. I don't know if it's injected or drank through a chalice or something. But I just find it interesting, because I always thought, why do these people prey on young? Maybe it is some kind of power. Maybe it's your because obviously you're overpowering. It's intimidation. It's agitation. So a lot of people prey on people's fear, because you get like these psychopaths who love preying on people's fear. Maybe that makes the kill even better.
It all sounds like David Icke rubbish to me. The conclusion for me is, I'm not saying he wasn't killed. I'm not saying it wasn't suicide. I just
No,
don't
it's not
think
like you, Andy.
I know. I just don't think there's. My conclusion is, and you two said it before, right? This guy, he's a dodgy guy. He's been arrested on multiple occasions. He's done time. He's been sentenced. I think he had 13 months in prison
Correct.
with work
Correct.
release back in early 2000s. He's got form. And what was it for? One was for procuring an underage girl for prostitution and sex trafficking. He's also been arrested for other types of underage girls and things like that. Very dodgy. Relationship with Prince Andrew doesn't look good for Prince Andrew, rightly or wrongly. But he's been tagged now, and don't think there's much he can do about it other than
forever.
Than he shouldn't be avoiding the bloody the police talking. What's it called? What am I trying to say? He shouldn't be avoiding
FBI. FBI won't speak to him.
FBI, is it? Yeah, he shouldn't be avoiding the FBI questioning. He should just get over there, get it sorted, sort it out. Because they're saying he's not cooperating. He's saying he is cooperating. All very dodgy. Ghislaine, don't look good for her either. Obviously heavy involved. I was shocked to realise she was the same Maxwell as in Robert Maxwell. Obviously, he was seen up until his death as a very, very generous man. Could do no wrong sort of thing. And then literally the day after he has a argument with his son about not paying 500 million or 500 million have gone missing out of certain funds.
The pension funds of the Mirror, some kind of pension fund.
And robbing from his pension funds to pay off other companies. I mean, if he was a clever businessman, you don't borrow from successful businesses to pay off businesses that aren't working. You get rid of the businesses that aren't working and keep the ones that are, because that's how you get richer. So he couldn't have been that fucking good if he was stealing from other companies. So yeah, and then once he died, a lot of other bad things came out. Again, was he pushed overboard? Was that suicide? Was that they said the same thing about him. All these people you banged on about earlier. Oh, that whenever someone kills himself,
he was murdered. Don't even go there.
Whenever someone kills himself, let me say this: whenever someone kills himself, someone always says, "Oh, such an outgoing, full of life. That person never would have dreamed of killing himself." People always say that. People always say that about people. So that's all I've got to say on that situation, really.
I will wrap up, do my summary. I think Epstein was murdered. I think the truth we'll never know the truth from the Epstein side, but I think Ghislaine Maxwell will add more value to this case coming up. We need to keep her alive. Whatever she gets, she deserves. But I think she'll hold the key to a lot of this because she knew all the dark secrets. She knew she was his girlfriend, his confidant, and she was the madam. So she knows, basically, no pun intended, she knew where all the bodies were buried as well. So I think Ghislaine Maxwell will add fuel to this big fire what's going on at the moment.
Stick around for some bloopers and outtakes, and if you have enjoyed this, please give us a like and subscribe.
As we always said, we're here to entertain, teach, but more importantly, make you laugh. That's the most important message I'm going to give you all.
Cool. Peace to mankind and love everybody. Not that message, no.
Oh no! That's self-preservation. Self-preservation.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Just checking. Love, mummy.
13, 1,
11, 5, white,
25,
15, 21,
yellow,
12,
1,
21,
7,
8,
red.
If you would like to support the podcast, please talk about this with your friends or give us a review on iTunes. You can comment or contribute at TheoConPod, that's at TheoConPod, or check the link in the podcast description.